Keith L. Brown. Welcome to the Chundria Show. How are you today?
Listen, Creative Chundria, I'm empowered, not devoured.
That's right. I love it. I think we're going to get all the sayings and all the affirmations today. So I'm really looking forward to this chat that we have. So, did a deep
Yes,
dive on you. You've inspired thousands of people. You have the moniker Mr. I'm Possible. Can you take me back to the moment that you realized that your story was meant to empower others?
that's an easy question. In terms of the question, when did I get that epiphany that I knew I was called to inspire others in my story? Well, it's a continuum. It's a continuous story. It started when I was a child who was labeled special ed and at risk and a potential menace to society. I remember being in a class of 35 and they took me and they would place me in a class of 5 and I learned that I was small and black and different. Nevertheless, my story was being written in elementary school in special ed when I won a district wide spelling bee. In middle school in Jamaica, New York, when I won a district wide speak out contest. And then in high school, when I was voted male most likely to succeed in the class of 86 in special ed. Went on to college, the Savannah State University. Shout out to all HBCUs when I became SGA president. And then graduate school at Georgia Southern University. And then I became an educator who empowered thousands of young people. And then in 2000, I stepped out on faith to leave one school and one classroom to empower the global classroom. And so my story is still being written as we speak as a full time executive coach, professional speaker who takes individuals from impossible to it's possible, and finally the life changing I'm possible. So my story is being written every single day.
Knowing the backstory, and I appreciate your transparency, and it feels like, it supports when you're able to relate so well to so many people. When you share your story, they don't feel like you make yourself feel so relatable that they don't have to feel like when others make them feel low, you make them feel higher. You make them feel good. You make them feel empowered and inspired, and so it's always really powerful to hear the why behind your movement, but you work so closely with schools and educators and families, in your work, and you're a champion for education. You're a champion for youth empowerment. And I know that schools could really benefit for more affirmations, more of this type of programming, which in a lot of underserved communities, there isn't this global type of outreach. What do you believe schools and communities are really missing to support young people, even if they don't have the bandwidth or the capacity or the staff in place? What do you feel like schools and communities could be doing more of, even if there are not enough bodies to do the work?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm glad you mentioned that I do serve the mostly the underrepresented, and that's nationally and internationally. I have clients in places like England and the Dutch Caribbean, all over the world. And so, from my perspective, many of the schools and school districts I serve, they lack adequate funding and resources, but they don't lack the heart. They don't lack the empathy. They don't lack the compassion. And a part of what I do is really grounded in social emotional learning. And that simply means before I get to their heads, I get to their hearts. And so when I go in, like right now, I'm on my back to school tour, and I'm in cities and states across the country on this back to school tour. It's called the Position for More. We gonna make it anyway tour. I need them to know that they are positioned for more. I need them to know that guess what? We gonna make it anyway. In spite of the budget cuts through this present administration, and I will not call any names. I will not even put that on the airwaves, okay? Because this is not that type of show. The Chundria Brownlow Taking Them High show is all about empowerment. And so when I'm going into these districts and I'm speaking to superintendents, I was in a district recently and it was hot in the building. And I let all of them know at this time, I don't need the superintendent. I love you, superintendent. I honor you, superintendent. But right now, I need the maintenance man. See, right now, the maintenance man is the solution. When I need to get to school, I don't need the board members. I need the transportation team. And so I go in and let them know that everyone has value in terms of personnel. And then that needs to trickle down to those scholars. I didn't say students because anybody can be a student. I call them scholars because I have high expectations. And so I go in and let them know you must first touch their hearts. Make them not only close the achievement gap, but the ambition gap. See, Chandria, we are so focused on closing the achievement gap, but we must first close the ambition gap, the low self-esteem gap, those gaps that prevent them from being high achievers. And so even when you're underfunded, you must use your expertise, your passion, your energy to uplift them. And so that's what I talk about. I talk about the fact that we must teach them to say, I love myself, I believe in myself, I'm proud of myself, and I'm a genius. And you know what comes up? How can they be geniuses when they come from low income families? Well, poverty is not a learning disability. Boom! Let me say that again. Poverty is not a learning disability. So they are geniuses. And I had a young black male come up to me and he said, Uncle Keith, because that's what they call me. Why, how am I a genius? And I said, son, there's a gene in us, and that gene is called greatness, and it's in you. And he said, well, I can't go to college if I don't get this football scholarship. We have to eradicate that. We have to stop allowing our black boys to think, and black girls to think, the only way they can go to school is through an athletic scholarship. There's so many opportunities. And so when I go into a district, I take that impossible mindset they may have, I take them to it's possible through tangible resources, through tangible tips, through tangible content, and I take them to I'm possible. And I think that's so very important, especially in the times that we're living right now, where there's so much hopelessness, not only in school districts, but when I'm in corporate America, when I'm working in the entertainment industry. You know, Chandria, is interesting because when I'm working in the entertainment industry, so many of the people I work with, they are publicly balling, but privately falling. So we have to get that. We have to tap into that. You're publicly balling, but you're privately falling. That impacts your mental health, your mental health awareness, and mental illness, which is very prevalent. So at the end of the day, I am called Mr. I'm Possible. And that name was given to me by youth in the Sickle Cell Foundation of Georgia. I lost a brother to sickle cell anemia. So shout out to the youth of the Sickle Cell Foundation. I did not come up with this moniker. They gave it to me. So that's why I'm called Mr. I'm Possible, the voice of the youth. They named it, I claimed it, and now we frame it.
They give you the name, but you've adopted it. You
Yeah,
wear it like a badge of honor, and I know that it has
absolutely.
to make it feel even more, for you as you go out into the world, and you're really healing a lot of people. It sounds like you're healing adults. You're healing, like you're working on the youth, and you're setting them off. But I imagine there has to be a lot of adults out there that have been inspired by your messages, by your presentations, even by your excitement and your vigor and how you pour back into the youth. It has to, I'm certain that it has to inspire them to think about what they could do differently or what they could do better to also inspire you, to also create more geniuses, to also create college graduates, to also create entrepreneurs. Like you're consistently pouring not only into the youth, but into the world at large. And do you feel like you're healing adults as well? Like the childhood they didn't have, the voice they
Yes.
didn't have, the Uncle Keith they didn't have, they have now. How does that resonate with you?
Listen, that is so relevant. And I'm going to point to you for a moment, if I may. When they see this little black girl from Chicago, okay, there could have been a totally different path for you. Now they see you and that black girl magic, and they say, you know what? I can be an executive producer. I can be a talk show host. You know, I can do all of the things that she is doing because, see, they see it and they hear your story. So when they hear my story, there's one word that I'm looking for: connection. Because if I'm not connecting, I'm just saying a bunch of words. If I'm not connecting, there's just a lot of energy and motivation for the moment. But my goal is when they're leaving my session, they're talking about me, but they're thinking about themselves. Let me say that again. When they leave my session, they're talking about me and the empowerment they experience, but then they're thinking about themselves. And so they got the motivation, they got the transformation, the inspiration, but I teach them to do the implementation, because you can get motivation all day, inspiration, elevation, education, right? But if you don't do the implementation, nothing will work. And so I'm proud of my work with especially the Fathers Not Farther movement, FATHERS, not FARTHER. So I work with a lot of fathers around the world, fathers on a universal level, but primarily African American fathers, and a lot of young fathers who don't necessarily know how to be fathers, but they have a hunger and a desire to do well. So I'm working with them and I'm empowering them and I'm letting them know all of the negative that you learned in your childhood, that real men don't cry. I start there with them because I tap into their emotions. And so I let them know real men do cry because it's a human emotion. And I teach them, especially not to tell their black sons that real men don't cry, because society is already doing that, especially with our black boys. Chundria, I'm going into schools where black boys are 6 feet tall in middle school, right? And what happens? We do the adultification. And so now they're in some school districts that adultify them. He's 13 years old. He's not an adult. He might be 6 feet, but he's still a child. When I'm working with single moms, and let me say this, all single mothers out there listening, your children don't come from a fatherless home. They come from a mother more home. Let me say that. Shout out to all single mothers. And so when I'm talking to them, I encourage them not to tell their 8 and 10 years old sons that you're the man of the house. It's not possible. He's 8 years old. He's 10. He's 12. Allow him to grow. He's an intricate part of the family, but he's not the man of the house because he hasn't even developed yet. And so I talk to those fathers then about our four principles. We must reflect our children. We must protect our children. We must respect our children and never neglect our children. And even when you and that mom are no longer in a relationship, you must remain in relationship with your children. And if she's negative and it's not happening, then that's why we have the legal system or advocates who can fight for you. So we open up a lot of resources for our dads because there are so many who have a sincere desire to be in their children's lives. And so I'm healing the little boys on the inside of them while I'm healing their children.
You really are, and I like your perspective because it's really refreshing, but it's also real and it's also timely in modern times. So I'm listening to you, and it makes me really curious about your coaching style. Like when you're doing your executive coaching, are you going into the schools? Do you have an office? Is it one on one? Are you doing group practice? Like, what's a day in the life like for your executive coaching sessions?
Absolutely. The Position for More coaching program is one that's primarily virtual, but we do have in person presentations. But in that virtual coaching, we help individuals increase their impact, influence, and income. It's so funny when I'm talking to people, they say, well, money is fine, but, it's not all that. I say, yeah, you're right. Money's not all that, but it's right up there with oxygen. Okay. All right. It's right up there with oxygen, right? Right here in the state of Georgia, there's been a freeze on funding for after school program. That's going to impact thousands of children and young people from low socioeconomic backgrounds. Okay. So when there's a funding freeze, where do our children go? Right? Where do the children go? So money matters. School shopping is going to be school clothes shopping is what? It's about to occur all over the country. If there are no finances, right? How then are we going to outfit our children? And I'm not talking about with name brand. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about their basic needs, clothing, school supplies. We have these back to school rallies. I'm going to be doing a lot of them to give them those book bags and supplies, and that's a blessing, but they need more than that. And so when I'm coaching individuals, I primarily coach individuals. Like I said, they want to increase their impact and influence. And I'm hoping that they want to work with our youth. I coach a lot of emerging speakers and seasoned speakers. But one of the things that I'm passionate about is when I have clients who also want to incorporate a youth and family component into their speaking, into their training, into their consulting. And when I'm coaching dads, I start off coaching dads with a tailgate party. And I come in with my jersey because I want them to understand I'm on the couch watching Monday Night Football just like you are. I'm out there on the grind just like you are. Listen, I'm flawed and favored just like you are. So I might be called coach by you, but understand I'm not just your coach. I'm your fellow father. And so I understand that there are times when you have to sit in the car and cry for 30 minutes before you go into your house because of the day you had. And you don't want to take that negative energy to your family. And so I understand when you are a black man in society and before you even get to work, your mental has been disturbed by so many other facets in society. Chundria, when I was at a conference recently, I'm getting on the elevator. I just finished working out. I got my sweatsuit on. I'm working out, and people who didn't look like me are literally cringing because I had my hoodie on, right? Okay. Shout out to the late great Trayvon Martin. I had my hoodie on, and there I am on the elevator, and I can feel the discomfort. Well, some of those same people 3 hours later saw me as the keynote speaker, and they welcomed me. But what was the difference? The difference was I got on the elevator with the sweaty sweat suit on, and one of my team members, she was joking. She said, well, maybe you didn't smell too good when you got on the elevator. And we know that's not the case. We know that there was that trepidation, right? That implicit bias that I was going to do harm to you. That's what you have to face as a black man every day. And so I coach those fathers starting with the heart.
I love your speaking style because it's like this mix of like you're powerful, but it's poetic, and then you make yourself very unforgettable too, And then again, I go back to the word timely because there's like this. Unfortunately, these are things that, of course, as black men or as black people, we have to deal with still in 2025, And so you're teaching people how to parent. You're teaching people creative ways to parent, but you're also, you're calling me creative. I'm calling you creative back,
Absolutely.
because to think to do a tailgate party as a way to build connection on, build common ground. We all like sports. We're all fathers. Like, let's tap into the things that we do have in common. And then it creates like a very safe and vulnerable environment that you've created for, I mean, in whatever environment that you're on. Like, I've seen you online, like jamming with the kids,
Oh, absolutely.
you're hanging with the fathers. Like, their style is true, isn't it? Your style is truly like a gift, like it's a gift that you give. And I think that people walk away with like a really unfair, like you said, you want them to be talking about you, but you want people to be thinking about themselves in the future. And so, what advice do you have for someone, that's trying to find their authentic voice, whether it's on stage or in business, that wants to do more? Because we need more Keith L. Browns in the world that are going to go. Life is hard. Life is tough. People are struggling to adult. Maybe you didn't have the best upbringing. Maybe you didn't have a leader. Maybe you didn't have a role model. Maybe you're trying to heal that inner child. Maybe you have children that are struggling. Like, it's a lot of people in the world that need a clear path, and it can just be tough. Like, life can be tough sometimes. What advice do you have for anybody that's interested in following in your footsteps and bringing more inspiration into the world?
Absolutely. I say start with the passion. And when I break down passion, PASS -I-ON, pass I on. Think about what are you passing on that's positive on a daily basis. Start from there. You want to work with youth, speak to youth, families, start from what you're passionate about and what you're passing on every day. So if you are passing on healing messages every day, bring that to the stage. And the mistake that people make and that many of my clients make is they think they have to be on stage literally. No, that's what social media is for. If you are on social media, I don't care if you have 10 followers or 10,000, they must hear from you at least 3 to 4 times a week. I encourage you to do 2 pre-recorded videos where you show motivation and you're giving inspiration, and then they will be engaging with you. And once they're engaging with you, then they begin to trust you. And once they begin to trust you, they will not only follow your platform, they will support you. And that's when speaking engagements start opening up. And that's when you're starting in communities. That's when you can leave that social media space and go to another stage in a school, family advocacy agency, government agency, corporate America. So I encourage you. whatever you're passionate about, don't just bring that to your daily life with others, bring that to social media, because social media is everything. It's a live platform where you can get your message out for free. And so that's so very important. So I encourage my clients to do that. And so many of them have been growing in the position for more program that we have now. And so, and I will be doing more of those. So, when I give you my information, they can look out and they can see where they can sign up for one of those position for more cohorts. Well, where I teach them about impact, influence, and income. The other thing I will say to this, Chundria, they have to do exactly what you're doing right now. You have an award-winning show, Okay, it is going to be internationally known, nationally recognized, and locally accepted because you're putting the work in. I see the work that you're doing. Shout out to Adrienne from the IPY agency, my publicist, who is helping to even position me more. I've been in this game 25 years, and I still go places where people say, I never heard of you. And I don't get upset because when you are a professional speaker, we operate in anonymity. But then when I leave, I want them to take that message, share it with the world, and that's what happens. So my goal then is to heal. Because if your peace of mind is not right, you can't operate at a maximum level. And that's why I have even this right there. You see that message right there, right? That's the message there. Your peace of mind matters. Don't lease your peace. Stop listening to people who are telling you that you have to be strong all the time. You don't. Surround yourselves with people where when you're vulnerable, you can be vulnerable. That's why the men who I hang out with, they allow me to cry on their shoulders. We pray together. We uplift each other. All of this toxic masculinity is gone. It's time for us to love on our children, to love on our families. And listen, we're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes in my family all the time. My wife is a director in a school district. My son serves underrepresented youth in his profession right now with federal TRIO programs as a student development coordinator. So we're a family. We're all about advocacy. But I'm not the perfect husband, not even close. I'm not the perfect father, not even close. And that's what I bring to the platform. You see me up here, but do understand I'm flawed as well. But just like I'm flawed, I'm favored. So that means God still blesses me and gives me my purpose, and I live it on purpose with purpose. There's nothing else I've been called to do, Chandria. Nothing else. This is it. This is my plan A, my plan 1A, 2A, 3A. This is what I've been called to do.
You are truly a purpose-driven leader. I mean, 1,000% yes, and I hear the passion and fervency in your voice, which is so immaculate to say that you live a life serving others. I mean, it's to me, it's up there with somebody that chooses to be a doctor or a profession in that magnitude, or career coach or things like that. Where because you could go get a job, do your 9 to 5 and go home and enjoy your Monday night football, eat your dinner
Right.
and go to bed, but you wake up every day to serve others. You wake up every day to inspire and empower others, and so that's like an immaculate sense of self, but also self-awareness, also world awareness, that you realize like people, there's a need, and I'm gonna go out, and there are more people that have need than there are people that can fulfill that need, and there are people that can empower and inspire. And so when I'm listening to you, I wonder like how you're aligning your work with your own evolution, because you say you're continually evolving. You may not be perfect, and who is, but like I'm also curious about what you're passionate in building now. Like where do you've been in the game 25 years. Where do
Yes.
you hope to build or plan to build 25 years from now, 10 years from now, 5 years from now? Like you've accomplished so much. Where do you have your sights set on now?
Well, right now, other than the Fathers Not Father program and the Position for More coaching program, because we're building speakers who are going to be global. We also have the Uncle Keith's Kid Author Scholarship. Oh, I'm so proud of them. With my partner, Brenda Cotton Waters, a phenomenal global business coach. She's the founder of Purpose Pushers Academy and Kid Authors Academy. And right now, with that Uncle Keith's Kid Author Scholarship, we are actually helping children across the country write their own books, write their own stories. I'm talking about we got kids as young as 6 years old getting paid now, getting paid right now. And so that's a part of my legacy now because so many of our children, primarily our children, black children, children of color, they are so animated. And I was animated in elementary school, and that's why I was labeled special ed because they said I talk too much. Now I get paid well to talk. And so it is so important that we give them their voice. And a lot of times they want to write, they're so creative. So I say, I'm building up those parents to build those children. When they tell me, Shaquille is just, he keeps hitting the kitchen table every night. He has this fork and this spoon, and he keeps banging on the table. I said, Mom, that's a world-class drummer, baby. You better go to Goodwill and get a drum set. She already said she can't afford that drum set from one of those other manufacturers. I said, go to Goodwill and get you a drum set. Go to a local school, go to the band room and see if you can purchase a used drum from that same school where your child goes. They might even give them the drum. So just like I tell parents to tap into their passion, I'm telling parents, what is your child's passion? You're upset that your daughter is singing in the house all time of day, that she's a world-class singer. That's what happened with me. That's what happened with me. This is my story of talking too much, but that's all God gifted me with. Much more, but primarily the gift to speak and to heal and to serve. So let me say this, Chandria. I have a motto called have the nerve to serve. Have the nerve to serve because you, being a woman of service as well, you know that the majority of the people we serve don't always appreciate it. And so that's why you have to it takes nerve to serve. But while I'm serving, I understand that I've been called to build wealth as well. And so I'm going to be unapologetic about building wealth because, yes, we have the Uncle Keith's Kid Scholarship Program for the kid authors. I give out book scholarships to countless numbers of youth every year, over $30,000 in the since 2010, just book scholarships for them going to college. But what if I was able to finance their 4 years? What if I took 10 young black men and young women and I was able to finance their college education and write a $200,000 check to those institutions collectively? That's why I want to build wealth, not just for me, because if it were just for me, then I'm successful. But when I'm uplifting others, then I'm significant.
Your service is admirable, and on behalf of the globe, on behalf of schools, educators, parents, the youth, I say thank you.
Mm,
For your
mm.
service and for dedicating your life to the needs of others. If you,
Thank you.
I know you, I can't imagine you hear it enough, and so I want to say it to you today. Thank you for every book bag.
Yeah.
Thank you for every chat, talk, helping fathers be better, helping parents be better parents. Just thank you for just the affinity to help people be better human beings, better
Thank you.
little human beings to grow up and know that there's more that they can be in life. And then also for us, bigger human beings, knowing that life doesn't have to stop right now. You still have breath in your body. You're still moving forward. If there's more you want, there's more you can go and get. And
Oh,
you are a
absolutely.
testament to that. So
Well,
thank
thank
you on behalf of the globe.
Well, listen, thank you so very much, Creative Chandria. And I do want to say this because I do this with children and youth and families. I want you to know the C is for creative, the H is for honorable, the U is for unique, the N is for noble, the D is for dynamic, the R is for resilient, the I is for innovative, and the A is for artistic. You're shining in so many arenas. I would be remiss if I left your show without letting them know that in my family we have two things: God and a therapist. I'm encouraging every listener, get therapy. Even if nothing is going wrong, get therapy. My therapist has helped me, and sometimes I don't see her for months, and other times I need to see her 3 or 4 times a month. But let me say this: therapy matters. You're not crazy if you get therapy. No, because we can't do this alone. And the weight of the world is heavy. So I encourage you to get a therapist. If you say, well, Mr. Impossible, I can't afford one, there are free resources out there. All you have to do is look and do the research and do the work. If you don't have the computer, go to a local library or the school. Go to your child's school. Go to that counselor and say, I know you're counseling my child, but I need some help. and they will point you to the right direction. And so that's so very important that we heal our families. My son and I, we sat on many couches together watching football, but the greatest couch my son and I sat on was the couch of our therapist, where I cried on him, he cried on me. It has made a huge difference. So I'm encouraging all your listeners to get in therapy and begin to heal your family, which will heal future generations and which will heighten your legacy. That's so very important. We're in this together. Not impossible. I'm possible. I want y'all to say that every day. Not impossible. I'm possible. And it has to be bigger than it's possible, because it's possible is fine. It's possible is good. But when you say it's possible, you leave it to chance. But when you say I'm possible, that lets yourself know, your inner self, that you're willing to do the work to increase your worth. Let me say that again. You're willing to do the work to increase your worth. All right. Yeah. Not impossible. I'm
I'm possible that it ignites something. It unlocks something in your mindset. And so
yeah.
no wiser words have been spoken. Keith L. Brown. This has been great. But before we wrap up today, I have a
Yeah.
few lightning round questions for you, if you don't mind, before we
Yeah.
close out today. All right.
No doubt. No
First
doubt.
one. So you have all these great ideas, right? You have these great names for these coaching programs and these great ideas for books and presentations and the whole nine. When do you have your best ideas? Early in the morning or late at night?
Oh, definitely late at night. Late, yeah, definitely late at night. I'm talking about midnight, right? When Sports Center has gone off, shameless plug. God just gives me all of these ideas and I just go running. I'm talking in my phone and everything, but it's definitely late at night. I have my best ideas late at night.
Next one. What's a quote that you live by that someone else shared with you?
Quote that I live by that someone else shared with me. That's a good one. And there's so many. But I remember Les Brown looking me in the eye, the great Les Brown, who was like my mentor in the game. And Les Brown looked at me and he said, "You have the gift." That changed my life forever. He didn't say you have a gift. He said you have the gift. And I live by that. And I'm able to tell others about the gift on the inside of them. So he said, you have the gift. And then he said, but do you have the fortitude to unlock it? Whew, to open it up. That was it for me. That was it. So that stays in my mind. You have the gift. And then another quote I love is this: it is not our mission to see through each other, it is our mission to see each other through.
Okay. Next one. Now you pour into others every day. You spend
Yeah.
your life serving. What's one thing you do every day to stay grounded and to replenish yourself, to build self-care so that you remain a priority?
Every day I have two things: a good laugh and a good cry. I have a mom who's battling Alzheimer's. We love mom dearly. But I have that good laugh and I have a good cry every single day. And when I'm not on the road, when I'm not working, look, I play b-ball. I might not look like it, but look, hey. Oh, so I shoot hoops and I'm in a 50 and up league right now. And that helps me with my self-care, being in the presence of other brothers, okay? And I'm talking about of all cultures, and we come together and we hoop, and then afterwards we actually sit around and we might be talking for a couple of hours just about life. That helps my self-care and my self-I care. And self-I care is when you tell yourself that you deserve self-care.
Now, if you can narrow down to one, I understand, but what's a song that instantly motivates you?
Rise Up by Andre Day.
That's good. That's a real
Yeah,
good one.
rise up. Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah. Now my opening has always been Hustling, the instrumental by Rick Ross.
Okay.
Okay, because then I start flowing. I start flowing
You'll
from it.
get everybody pumped with that coming to the
Oh,
speakers.
when I come out, man, I come out with it. So yeah, absolutely.
Right, last one. If your younger self could see you now, what would little Keith L. Brown say?
I'm glad you followed the path that I started. I'm glad you followed the path that I started. And wow, that now you gonna make me cry on here. you're going to make me cry, but that's what little Keith would say. I'm glad you followed the path that I start. Because let me tell you this right now, Chundria, before I go, on some of my records, it says, number one, I talk too much. I was too hyper, and I always want to give the answers, meaning I wouldn't let other students answer or scholars answer. Well, guess what? I still talk too much. I'm still hyper, and I still want to give all the answers. And so that's how I know it was a God thing and not a me thing. Because the same thing that they wrote on my records when I was 5 years old, in my 50s, they would write the same thing on the same record. So that lets me know it was a divine calling, and I'm divinely walking in it boldly without being apologetic.
And you tell little Keith, hold on, it gets greater.
Thank you so much.
Keep talking.
Yeah.
Keep talking. It's okay.
Yeah, keep talking.
Brown, it's truly been a pleasure to meet and connect with you today. Thank you for being my special guest on the Chundria Show. To connect with you on anything we talked about today, if they want to see you speak, they want to check out your programs.
All right. Thank you so much. And let me say this to you. GOODJOB. Good job. Good job. I enjoyed my time with you today. Your show is going to the next, not the next level, the next realm. It's even higher. So they can definitely get in touch with me via KeithLBrown.com, KeithLBrown.com, or Adrienne, ADRINNE, at theIPYagency.com. Adrienne at theIPYagency.com. My Instagram is the one that's really popping, y'all. The Instagram, Keith L. Brown _. If you don't remember the underscore, just type in Keith L. Brown. I'm going to pop up, and I'm going to have one of my signature Bellissimo hats on. Do you understand? That's it. So reach out to me. I will reach back out to you. And if you want deserve daily motivation, inspiration, enlightenment, and empowerment, Keith L. Brown _ on IG, and that will lead you everywhere else.